What's up, kitchen table wizards? What's up, deck brewers from all over the world? Thank you for giving me all those suggestions for decks to brew around, all those great deck ideas. And I got one specific guy who keeps on repeating the same thing. Bram, you need to make a worm deck.
Whoa, what?
Okay, we're going to make a worm deck, because when I think about worms, I think about the 80s sci-fi cult movie Dune. It's a very old movie by David Lynch and it has this in it. Now that's what I call a worm. Now, I could include the greater sandworm. The card would be perfect for the deck, but I recently included it already in my hyper fatty cyclone deck, hypergenesis thing brew craziness. So let's not do that. There's also Massacre Worm, really cool card, just got reprinted with beautiful art. Look at this, amazing. But to be honest, Massacre Wurm 6/5, it's not really that strong. Doesn't have trample, I guess. So no, it's too weak. Let's not do this. Now I do think I found the solution. We could be brewing around the legendary worm called Grotama, the all-devouring. Now this buddy needs some help, needs some equipment to make it indestructible for it to work. No. Who are you? My name is Flavor Guy with sunglasses on a random beach. And according to rule 471 of the Stylish Deck Builder book, you cannot put equipment on a worm. Just doesn't work. Huh. Well, I didn't know that. Sorry. Well, don't worry. There are a lot of worms to choose from. Okay. Soul Swallower. Yes, I like the card. It's a cool card, but I think it's too small. The Armada Worm. Yes, nice. Has trample, but also too small, I think. Worm Coil Engine. Nice card, but I think it's way too expensive. So we're not going to put it in because it will be over budget. No. Let's not do that. Endless Worm. That's nice. That's nice. We could do something with enchantments then. But 9/9, it's maybe not even big enough. You have something else? Autochthon Worm. That's quite big. And it has trample. Yeah. But still, we're not there yet. Well, you could brew around this guy. Are you curious yet? Well, I'm going to make you a little bit more curious, because I'm going to tell you that we're not going to brew a deck with a lot of worms. We are going to brew a deck with the ultimate worm. And I'm only going to include 3 of them in the deck. Not more, but you will see later it's going to be enough. Because we're going jank style, we're going Timmy style, we're going to cheat in a huge worm on turn 4, 5, sometimes even turn 3. And we will do this with a new card that was also an old card. The old card was called Polymorph and the new card was called Transmorgrify. So we are going to polymorph our little creatures into this huge mythic worm that's also reasonably priced in terms of dineros. And you could also get yourself one big mythic worm. You can get it by subscribing on my channel, by leaving a comment below and tell me which deck you want to see next. And at the end of the video, I will give away one €10 voucher for Cardmarket, our partner, and also the greatest platform to buy and trade single cards and even booster boxes. Now let's head into the deck and I will explain to you, but first the lands. First the lands, Bram, first the lands. Ah yeah, okay, first the lands. In this deck I only play 20 lands. I play 6 mountains and 6 islands. And for the art I wanted to go back to June. Especially for the mountains, I found this desert mountain scenery by Niels Raan. And there's a little bit of a desert on this beautiful island from Raoul Vitali. I think the worm just got through this hole. And the Lonely Sandbar and Forgotten Cave are also great flavor includes and good lands in the deck. Then I included a Temple of Epiphany, a Desolate Lighthouse and an Evolving Wilds. And also some lands that become little creatures for me to sacrifice to the Polymorph, Dwarven Mine, Cur Keep and Fairy Conclave. Now we are finally going to talk about the worm that is worthy to roam the plains of June, the deserts of June, and we need a special intro for that. Tania, in the edit, give me something epic, give me something worm.
Earthworm Sally, cure diseases from Florida to Cali, Florida to Cali.
Now let's get serious because there is one worm that fits the bill and it's this guy, a guy that costs 11 mana and justifies the Worms of June's greatness. This guy is a 15/15 with trample and it's a worm that when it dies it slides right back into my library. And it will also leave some more worms on the battlefield. So this is exactly the beast worm I want to see in my deck and I'm going to polymorph my creatures into this guy.
It's morphin' time!
So I play 7 polymorph effects in this deck. 3 polymorph, 3 transmogrify and 1 mass polymorph. The first 2 do almost the same thing. They destroy or exile a creature. And then you can look at the top cards of your library and when you reveal a creature card, you just put it directly into the battlefield. And the only creatures we are going to play are the 3 worms, so they will always be our target. Now in true Timmy style, we also needed to have 1 mass polymorph because if you have 3 tokens out there, we can get all the worms together into the battlefield and that's a party you want to have, right? Now I already hinted on it. How are we going to get those worms into the battlefield? Of course with tokens, so let's look at some token makers. I play 2 Satyr's Cunning, 3 Forbidden Friendship and 2 Dragon Fodder. Then I also play 1 Goblin Wizardry because I can play it as an instant. I play 1 Goblin Slide and 1 Experimental Overload. That could get pretty big at itself and even could be a win condition. So all these tokens we of course want to morph into... Tania?
Earthworm Sally, flying through the air. I'm an earthworm, but I don't really care. I'm a barber, I'll do your hair.
Tania, you're fired. Now let's talk about some card draw. Our big worm doesn't mind getting discarded. That's why we play 3 Cathartic Reunion, 3 Thrill of Possibility and 1 Frantic Search. Then I will also play a card that doesn't mind to get discarded. It's called Echo of Eons. It has great art by Therese Nielsen and it can draw us a bunch of cards. I also play a Wishing Well because having some artifacts might be useful. This will become clear when I talk about the Planeswalkers. Chandra, Acolyte of Flame, is great in this deck. It makes tokens and it could also get us to play some instants and sorceries from our graveyard. Then when I talked about having some artifacts into the battlefield for our worm, this card is great. Saheeli, Sublime Artificer, makes us servo tokens when I play a non-creature spell, and for the -2, target artifact becomes a copy of another artifact or a creature you control until end of turn. So this means you can polymorph your artifacts into the worldspine Wurm. Then the last planeswalker I included is Narset, Parter of Veils. It locks out the control decks and it also helps me dig for polymorph cards or for token makers. Now on to some more artifacts. Because I only played 20 lands, I included a little bit of mana ramp, a talisman of creativity and an Izzet signet were great in this deck. Maze Mind Tome also helps me search for the right cards, and Prophetic Prism is also a good include to fix my mana. And the last artifact I included is also one that creates some tokens. It's called Servo Schematic. We're almost done, but I still included 3 extra cards. Prohibit is a very flexible counter spell and I do wanted to try it out in this deck, so it's a little bit of a test for me. Let's see if it works out. Then I also included 1 Quasi-Duplicate. Quasi-Duplicate is just a little meme card in the deck that I can use to discard and then later recast it to copy a big worm with its jumpstart mechanic.
It's Earthworm Sally, curing diseases from Florida to Cali, Florida to Cali.
Tania, that's enough!
From Florida to Cali.
Now I already hinted that you can play this worm on turn 3. Let's quickly explain how this goes. You play a land and a Satyr Cunning on the first turn. Then you play a Mana Rock on turn 2. And then on turn 3 you polymorph your Satyr into the big worldspine Wurm. Now let's wiggle ourselves to the end of the video and talk about some power rankings. Although it's not really an unfair deck, it's fun to play and it is powerful. It's not too complex and sometimes is a little bit inconsistent. You want to play offensively with the deck because defense-wise it doesn't have a lot of options. I think it's a really fun deck to play, it's a very memey deck to play and it's definitely value for money. The deck struggles a little bit against very aggressive decks. And if you don't get a fast start, this could be a problem. Against mid-range decks you have a little bit more time. And even though they can kill your worm, it creates 3 tokens, which is also very good. Against control decks, I gave it a 7. It's actually not that bad. You have some counter spells, you have some planeswalkers, and of course when the worm dies, it brings along some more worms. So it's pretty annoying for a control player to deal with. And against combo decks, it's going to be a race who kills the other player first. Now we are nearing the end of this video and that means it's card market voucher winner time. Let's see who won this time. For Nito Gaming, congratulations, you won the voucher. Take a look in the descriptions below how to contact me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, watch some matches until you wait to the next video, and as always, keep it casual. It's Earthworm Sally, spread diseases from Tania Cali. Actually, quite sticks the song, not bad.